This is the
Roll
Stxhes
that
Podcast,
beautiful
everybody. Thank you so much for coming in. We've got Brandon, Phillip, Gene, Dwayno, and myself, Donnie. Thanks for tuning in.
You're like, I can't take this shit no more. I'm out. Like, okay. He was out for the weekend, right?
points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, and 2 turnovers. We win the game. That's how it is.
I see folks like, oh man, that's old folks stuff. I'm like, damn, am I getting old? Like he watched.
I'm damn near a gangster in real life, you know what I'm saying? But no,
Exactly the same thing. Just work, come home, trying to find like some little things. Like I've been playing the Switch a little more. That new Pokemon game got me hooked for a little bit. But
You play online? You play the Switch online?
if I can, if I'm playing in the basement, I got terrible service. So with like Rocket League, the like soccer car game or whatever, I try and play it online and it'll keep kicking me off and stuff.
No, I got you.
I jumped on Among Us for a little bit with Don and the kids.
Were you able to do that on the Switch?
Did I use the Switch? Actually, I think I did on the Xbox actually.
Okay.
And then I switched over to my phone when they kept messing up with the
Link,
password.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got in on a couple games, but they kept messing up where it was like kicking me. So I was like, I ain't got time for this.
And they were sitting in the same room too. Like I was impressed that I was dying laughing still, but Angelo and Mila, they were both like they played off of each other so well that I was so convinced. I was like, yo, y'all don't know how to play. You telling me who to I was like, I know they didn't get me again. Like that I'm excited for us all to be able to get on that and get everybody involved. We just got to figure it out.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's definitely a fun game.
Did I see on the stores? Did you pick up a car?
Yeah.
What did you get? What was it?
C8.
Nice.
I mean, I said I was gonna get one, so
Yeah.
I try not to lie about what I do. But nah, it was like 2 years in the work. You know what I'm saying? It's not something I just woke up one day and was like, oh, I got one.
Right.
It's still unreal to me. Like, shit's still sitting at the dealership in the showroom. Like, I don't even want to take it home, man.
Wait, why did you bring the vet home? What happened?
I ain't letting this on the street. So I was like, I just cleared out my garage. And then I got to get a garage opener. But in the meantime, I was like, with the snow and the roads being dirty, I was like, I'll leave it there. And they were like, all right, that's cool. So,
You already paid for it. They don't.
right. You gotta be like my girl said, you're the only guy who would pay for a car and let it stay at the dealership. So I was like, whatever.
How many months has it been?
It's only been there since the 27th of last month.
Since you ordered it though.
Oh man, I ordered that shit back in. I think we ordered it at this dealership back in, what was it, June? I would say June was the latest, you know what I'm saying? But it was probably earlier than that. But I had tried ordering in 2020, that didn't go through. Tried ordering in 2021, that didn't go through. And then we went up to Westminster, Lynn Stoller, and they were like, we can get you in one. And I'm like, all right, cool. And they like, it might take a year. And I'm like, all right, put me on the list, whatever. So then shit started rolling, man, you know what I'm saying? They had called, was like, we need your final order, like your little details by tomorrow. And I was like, shit. So I like send them a link. And then I still missed some of the options I wanted. Like I wanted some more stuff, but it is what it is, So.
What didn't you get on it?
I got like on the side, there's supposed to be like this black trim. It was like another option. I mean, I can add it down the road, but it don't come on the build sheet. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So just nitpicking.
Oh, like you're not planning on keeping it though?
Yeah, man, I got to right now. I mean, unless I'm.
Why are you talking about a build sheet then? You making it sound like you want to hold on to it for like 20,000 miles and then flip it or whatever.
No, I mean, what, dude? Do you know how much the money they're getting for them cars right now? Like, dude, they're selling like 30,000, 40,000 over MSRP. Like, so I'm like, I don't know. I might joyride in it, sell it, get another one, or I don't know. I can't even say I'll sell it yet because I haven't driven it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the judgment's still out. Once I drive it, it'll probably be a different story, you know? But
oh boy. Must be nice.
I don't understand, man. Shit's nerve-wracking, man. It's nerve-wracking like shit. My girl's probably tired of hearing about it because I talk about it every day. Like, you know, about to get this car soon, you know? She like, all right, baby, I heard you the first time. So, now, ain't got to worry about that shit no more. But I do want a Z06. So, on the weight game again.
Huh? I mean, supply and demand if you want to flip it.
Bro, time, man. It's like, if it ain't time right now, it's never, man. I'd like to take it to that Baron Jackson or Brian, whatever. I think it's Barrett Jackson.
Oh, Barrett.
Yeah, like, I like to take it to that, man, because they be getting some money out there. Like, shucks, like, they getting crazy money. They just sold, like, it's the C8R. They sold one of them, and it's like, it had high miles on it. They sold one for $300,000. I was like, yo, if I could get a quarter of that, you can take it. Shit. Let me get 1/3. 1/3 is better off. Like, I think
1/3. Well, what kind of percentage do they take on that, though?
I think so from what I understand, they when you're a buyer, so like, let's say you bought the car for $300,000, right? You got to pay 10%. So you bought the car for $330,000.
Mm-hmm.
But the seller doesn't pay anything. It's all buyer. Buyer has to pay it, which I think is a little crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because usually auctions get the seller to pay a fee, and they also get the buyer to sell. You know what I'm saying? They usually double dip. But I'm like, 10%. They're making a lot of money. Like, they just sold the first Z06 for 3.5 million or something like that, which I think is ridiculous. Like,
what year was it?
What, the 2023? It's supposed to be like the first production 0001 VIN number. 3.5 mil, man. I was like, you got to be kidding, man. For a car that you could go out literally in a year from now and buy for $100,000, and you paid $3 million, you could have literally got 300 of them. You know what I'm saying?
I was just watching that auction with one of the guys at work, and some of the stuff is so random and offbeat, but that's the point. Like, you're not going to see it anywhere else. You're never going to see that car show up anywhere again for years and years and years.
Yeah,
it's wild.
They like that mentality, man. But. And then that's a big stage too. So the whole world's watching. It's not just like being in Pennsylvania or like everybody's watching. So you definitely
talk about a timestamp. Like you just said, that many people watching, and yeah. Oh my God.
So you're right about that, man.
You're setting a precedent.
How y'all feel about Brady retiring?
I think it was perfect timing. Realistically, yeah, because it's like, if you think of the whole scenario, it's like, if you come back, well, he basically did everything he could to win that game. On that, he almost did the classic Brady come back down 27 going into the fourth, bring him back, and then loses based on a big play coming back the other way.
Yeah,
if he comes back and they don't make the playoffs or blows out a tire or something, like, he had the best passing stats in the whole league. So you can't say Father Time caught up to him. Like, right. It's like he retired coming off of, like, he never dipped. It's like the years that they thought he fell off, well, he had the worst skill players in the league. That's why they spent more than anybody else in free agency. Then he wouldn't won a title, and then he leaves after throwing for more yards than any of these young 25-year-old dudes. Like, I thought it was a good time. If he would have came back, he still could play. He obviously is still
Yeah. I think if he look, like, think about how close he came this year. I think if next year, I think he would be in the championship guaranteed. And the only reason why I say that, don't get me wrong, the field looks great, but he had no everybody was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was hurt. They were playing the dude who let Cooper Kupp, the dude who let him by was third string. He shouldn't even been on the field.
Yeah.
Like, they should have never even called a blitz, first off. Like, Todd Bowles should be fired. I don't care. I want his job. I know right now it's hard for a black man to get a job in the NFL, but look, fired for that. All out blitz, bro. They had no timeouts. All they had to do was play safety prevent. Am I right or wrong? Tackle inbounds. That's all they had to do. And it was going to overtime, and Brady would have came through and won in overtime. Like,
I mean, but if they got there, we wouldn't even be talking about it. You know, like if they got there on that blitz, you don't even have to worry about the outcome. Like the conversations like that. Like
we would have been about how Brady tackled 27 down. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we'd have still been talking about it. It's just the narrative been a win or versus a loss, you know?
I just thought it was ironic that you guys just talked about this a week or two ago, and then lo and behold, this is like his swan song, and then Brian Flores sues the whole league. And it's like, who's retiring? Brady, who's like what? Yeah. I think that's pretty. I feel bad for him in that respect, though. That's pretty messed up.
At the end of the day, he said he didn't want to have one of those like Big Ben farewell seasons. Like, you're just here because we just want to say bye to you. Like, we don't want to kick you out. Like he left on his own terms. It wasn't like he retired himself. It wasn't like, oh man, the competition's too thick, man. I got to get out of here. Like, nah, I can't imagine his entire, like, it's the same thing with LeBron. It's like you spent more years professionally than you did as just a regular person walking around doing anything. Like, you've been in the league for that long of your life. Like, I can't even imagine. His kids are like grown. like at this point, you don't even know these kids anymore. Like, he's been gone for so long.
22 years, man. It's definitely crazy. Yeah. But then it's like, man, you walk away from all that money. He could have just waited like literally another week and he would have got that signing bonus. You know what I'm saying?
You didn't read that. What? I didn't see that.
Yeah, so if he was on the roster, what was it? February 2nd or February 2nd or 7th, something like that, he would have got like a $15 million signing bonus. You see what I'm saying? But he could have still retired. Like, that's the funny thing about NFL, because money's not guaranteed like NBA. NBA, I could retire today and I'm still getting full salary. Like, I'm still getting benefits. I'm paid.
Yeah. I mean, that could just be him, though. What
Yeah.
do you see?
So I looked it up. There's an article. I've never heard of this site, marca.com. And they're saying, yes, he's announced it. But he really, his official paperwork hasn't been submitted. He's waiting until the 4th.
Yeah, he's trying to get paid, which there's nothing wrong with that. And if you actually look at what he said when he was those 9 Instagram posts, he never said I retired or I'm retiring. He just was like thanking everybody who's like, it's been a great run. Like, but he never said retirement in that whole thing.
I mean, how crazy would it be if LeBron just hung it up after this year?
Look, if LeBron hung it up after this year, I'm sorry, but I'm not watching basketball for about 2 years.
You're a liar.
I'll come back and watch John Morant, though, like here and there. But other than that, I ain't watching shit. I'm going to have to go on strike.
I mean, both leagues are in a good place, though. Like, watching the playoffs and everything, it's like you think, well, we have Drew Brees gone, and then it's Brady and Big Ben, and then Rodgers, and then who else after that? It's like, well, I guess Russell Wilson, but it's like the drop off after that. All the guys in the league that are at the top level are like 27 and younger. Like, the league's in a good spot. It's just not going to look like like it's gonna be tough to look like great football when the championship's gonna change hands. Isn't that like when they're constantly like the Bengals got it this year, the Rams got it this year. It's like when you've seen somebody this recently go this long, like LeBron doesn't look that great because it's too recent from Jordan. It's great you got all these titles, but we've literally just seen a dude win 6. It's like without losing.
Nah, I feel you. But you know what? We're never gonna see another Tom Brady.
I don't think so.
Ever. Like the dude got 7 championship rings. He's like 7 for 12. Like you're never gonna get that quality ever again. Like the dude, every single time he made it to the playoffs, literally balled out. Like everybody else can't even be. Aaron Rodgers got 1 ring.
That's how hard it is.
That's all I gotta say is Aaron, and it sucks too because like don't get me wrong, if Aaron Rodgers started his career today, he would literally have 4 or 5 rings, maybe. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But since he grew up with Brady outshined him. Like that doesn't mean Brady was better. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It just means he played the game better. You see what I'm saying? Because I think Aaron Rodgers got a better arm than Brady. But Brady is definitely the GOAT. Like, no, like, it's just like Jordan.
What bothered me about Aaron Rodgers, too. Why was he always, I mean, it'd be like week 4, and they'd be like, Aaron Rodgers won an MVP season. It's like, what?
That's because that lines be looking good. But you know what? He's not a team player. He's an eye guy. Look, when they win, he's like, I did what I had to do. When they lose, he's like, the defense. You know what I'm saying? Like, they was dropping balls. Like, I was putting the pass where it needed to be. That's the only reason why I don't never like him. He a cocky dude who thinks just because he's in the NFL, he's better than some people. You know what I'm saying?
The truth be told, he's nasty. Like, he would probably, like, I can't imagine what his stats would be like. I hate to say it like that. Like, we just said it. But like, his stats were clean, man. Like, he only threw like 6 to 8 picks a year. It was stupid stats. So
that's the net.
And then if any of the backups stepped in for him, they looked awful. They looked really, really bad. And it was like, okay, so this dude really is carrying this team. Like, if they let him go, they're screwed.
But does that make you question him as a teacher? Because when he gets, shouldn't your backup be at least okay? Like, you're the teacher, right?
It's competition, man. I hate when people start talking about that stuff. Those guys don't give a damn about their backups. Their backup is trying to take their job. They don't care. Yeah, like, I mean, I like the idea of it. I like the idea that, we're all a team. We're looking out for each other. We're trying to build each other up. But at the end of the day, they're like, this dude's trying to steal my shine and take my contract from me. He wants to get me kicked out of this team. I hate this dude.
Bring up Tom Brady the Great. Tom Brady trained Gallardo, you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh my gosh.
He had Jimmy underneath his wing where Jimmy got a starting job. I can't remember not one Green Bay backup that got a starting job. And then, except for, you know what was that dude, Matt
the dude that went to the Seahawks.
Yeah.
McGlynn?
I got
no, it was Mike.
It's Matt.
Russell Wilson took his job.
Yeah, that's how Russell Wilson started. That's right. Oh my gosh.
See, I thought it was Matt Flynn or something like that.
It is Matt Flynn. I think it is. Yeah,
I think it is.
It's sad we can't remember him, and he was actually a starter.
He got paid too.
I was just going to say he got a nice little contract.
I said, but nobody ever says anything about Peyton's backups though. Because Peyton went out for like 2 years and they won nothing. It was like Jim Sorgi. He ain't trained him worth nothing.
Jim Sorgi had that job for like 8 years.
Yeah. He thought he was never going to have to play.
Yeah, you're right about that. He had the cleanest jersey in the league.
It is funny, though, how we already talked about it, but the coordinators, players, anybody that was on a Patriots roster for even half a season was highly valued. And it was almost like, are they signing these people to get information, or do they really think these guys can play? Because then they get a starting job, and then they would just fall apart. It was never a success story out of any of those guys that left. Never.
I think it was people wanted to know what the Patriot way was. So let me get you in here and see if you rub off a little bit. I mean, I would probably do the same thing. I'd probably think like, look, let me get one of these guys in here and see what they do different there. See where they sit the camera down at.
See, it's always, but you know the crazy thing is, you think of all the players that came and left New England, not one of them come out and say they've been recording. They'd be sending us these secret practice footage. We know, like, you gonna tell me players have gone, like, from the Jets, from the Bills, from the Colts, have gone there and left, and none of them have anything to say to me. Like, none of them be like, "Yo, it's true. They really be doing this." Like, nobody has anything.
Brown was saying some shit, but I guess he ain't credible source.
Fair enough.
What did Brown say?
What did he say?
What did he say?
He was talking about everybody, man.
Go
ahead, Gene. Go ahead and speak up for your dudes, man. Go ahead, Gene. See what
you said it though. No, I mean, y'all said it. Y'all said it, man. You know, it's true. Even in these tell-all books and all that, like, there's never, you know. I think Brian Flores honestly was the closest. You have Mike Vrabel, who was actually successful, right? So he was actually successful with the Titans. And you have Flores, right? Because if you think about the Patriot way was just like a no-nonsense way, right? Don't mess with the media. Don't do anything stupid. You know, and that was really it. Like, that was the culture. But and then they had this super work hard attitude, like Brady. He wants to win, so, and everybody listens to Brady as well. So that's why Belichick with the no nonsense, Brady with the winning mentality, the two together, you know, brought forth, you know, a dynasty, right? So I definitely think coaching had a lot to do with it too. I think they had some very good coaches, but like you said, throughout the years, they just started losing guys. Like Starnecki retires. Now they had their running back Ivan Fears. He just retired. Then you have now again Josh McDaniels taking another position. He's leaving with somebody else. Like, so, and it's exactly what you guys say. Like, everybody wants to know about this Patriot way, so they bring on these other guys. Like, okay, look, how do we do this? And you know, these other guys weren't as successful because I feel like, again, it's that no nonsense. This is what we're doing. We're winning. And then I think Brian Flores had that closest mentality to it. So I think his players were starting to follow suit in some of the culture, but he was trying to do more than they were letting him do in Miami, right? So that's why you guys like Matt Patricia didn't really, you know, and again, Josh McDaniels and all, but all those other guys, like, you know, they were able to help each system that they went to. And then, like you said, the players, nobody had anything to say about it because I really don't believe that they were doing the most like that. You know, you got to be really super tight-lipped or, you know, something for like you said, for no guy to say something about it. That never really happened.
Well, look, so I would say like this. Look, I think if one person really came out, let's say Tom Brady came out and was like, hey, look, you know, we cheated, everybody else would come out. Just like when Brian came out and was like, hey, look, you know, they tried paying me $100,000 to lose every game. And then who else came out? The Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I hear you.
I
hear that piece.
You see what I'm saying? So
I hear that piece.
It's one of them things, like, everybody, it's a big league too. So first off, you're not supposed to be trying to lose because that's cheating. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I hear you, man.
Picks is cheating, just like me paying a guy to put a bounty on somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I hear you. But there've been guys who have been outspoken who said that they weren't a huge fan of the Patriot way. Like what was one of he played for the Patriots and then he went and played for the Eagles and he won Super Bowl with them.
Jake Long.
Yeah, there you go. Long. Yep, that's right. Yeah. So he wasn't a big fan. Say it again.
Wasn't at all. But you know what? The funny thing was, he wasn't a big fan, but he got a ring there, and he also got a ring at the Eagles. So
right,
I mean,
exactly. But he didn't. You know what I'm saying? But he could have. You know what I'm saying? Like he could have said some stuff, or there've been a couple other guys, like you know, that it could say, you know. So I understand it's a big league, but trust me, something somehow gets out. Like you know, with one of those, with some of that stuff. You know, it's unfortunate.
Look at all the good players that they screwed over at the end of their deals.
Right.
Like all these guys that could, like Vince Wilfork and stuff, like these dudes that you think they're gonna retire as Patriots, let them go. Even like Harrison, Harrison from the Steelers, James Harrison. When he came over, tail end of his career, goes into the media now. You don't think he'd want to say something? Like he'd be making headlines just like Kwame Brown. If he was the one that said something, like he has all the incentive in the world to say something, and they have nothing to lose. Even somebody like Jacoby Brissett, it's like he's off the team. He could leak it to anybody on the squad. Nobody says anything.
Nobody. Yeah. And so it says something. You know, them not saying nothing says something.
So you telling me all the evidence that they found on the Spygate and all that stuff that's fake?
No, it's not fake, but the reality is how much research did you actually do into it? Like after they actually released all the evidence behind it and how much was flawed in the stuff that they were reporting, there was never a report that came out afterwards because that's not clickbait. It was never like actually we went back into it, and even with the balls getting deflated and everything, it's like, actually it's scientifically proven that this isn't the case, but we're just gonna move on. But what about the Chiefs? It was like, can we get the same energy afterwards when this was on CNN 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. And again, still till this day, the dude came out and played better in the second half after. I mean, that's just, it's just one of those things that's just, So but like you said, man, I think something would have came out. Now here's the other thing. I'm not saying that they're completely innocent, but I think the way that the Patriots would do things, right? They would do so Belichick is, and y'all know this, he's infamous for finding loopholes, right? And things. And then later on, and it's a copycat league, everybody's following Belichick. He starts doing something, everybody's all right, cool, we got to do this. And so now they're catching on, like, especially when, I think the Titans were one of the teams, the last team that used the loophole on them, like milking the clock at the end of the game, and, one of Brady's last games and so forth. So anyway, so they find loopholes. So what they'll do is they'll do something, but they'll do it like in the open, like, hey, they put the guy in the stands to watch the practice or whatever it is. Like, all right, I didn't know that we couldn't do it. Like they didn't have a guy on the top of a building somewhere. They didn't have a guy hidden somewhere. They kind of did it in plain sight. So that way they knew that if they got caught, all right, you know what I mean? Or they talked about them recording the Browns practice, the media guys. And again, they were authorized to be there. They were authorized to, but they weren't authorized to record the practice, even though they were doing a segment of some sort. So they do some things in plain sight. So that way at the end, it's like, all right, we did this and we apologize, but nobody apologized for that Deflategate. They were like, no, we just didn't do that, So.
And the crazy part about that is, like, I'm sitting there watching that the game a couple of weeks later. It was like the Panthers or something like that, and they're holding the balls next to the heater. And I'm like, you're still manipulating the size of the ball. Like, if you've ever played football in freezing weather, it's a rock when you try and catch it. And your hands are already numb anyway. So it's still giving you a competitive advantage. I'm like, why is this not a conversation then? Like, you're supposed to be just playing as is. Everybody's supposed to be playing with an even playing field. But we're not going to make a headline about this because it's like the Panthers versus the Bucks that year or something. Like, this is just...
Wait, was it this year?
It was that same year.
Oh,
it was the same year that they were going through the Deflategate stuff. I'm like, it's still changing things. Like at the end of the day, it's like you're gonna push it until you actually hit that limit or somebody calls you out on it or something like that. It's like I hated the narratives like, no, they're cheaters. And I'm like, but in every single locker room, multiple dudes are on steroids currently. But we're not going to call that cheating. We're just going to look at whatever helps you sleep at night because you lost again to this same team. There's something that they're doing differently that we can't do, and it's the only way possible is they cheated. Like, it's like calling somebody out for doing steroids after they knocked you out in the fight.
Well,
like,
don't you realize how?
Yeah,
don't you see how they do these random tests on these guys? Like, if Travis Kelce has an incredible game, they test him right after the game. They do, and these guys will call it out like, "Wow, they're testing me just because I had a phenomenal game." Like,
Sounds, I need some piss.
And they're wearing it like a badge of honor. Like, that's why they post it. They'll put it on Twitter. They'll put it on their Instagram account. Like, they're like, "That's right. You better test me." I like that.
Yeah, you're right.
But talking about cheating, though, I mean, we got to talk about what's current. Like, how do you feel about owners paying their coaches to lose? Do you think that's just a headline grabber? Do you think they're going to be able to support it? And do you really think it's like a worthwhile investment? Do you really think it's worth an owner paying a coach to lose?
So
Regardless
that's
of tone, regardless of any of that stuff, do you think it's worth an owner paying their coach to lose for a higher draft pick?
so that double-bladed sword, because look, is that owner gambling? You see what I'm saying? Because look, let's say I own a team, right? And my team is projected to win, right? I own the Dolphins. They're projected to beat the Texans, but I make the Dolphins lose. I bet that the Dolphins are going to lose, me as an owner. Couldn't I just multiply my net worth by just putting out a huge ass bet? So it's deeper than they say it's about draft picks, but it's deeper. You get what I'm saying? Because it's like, so what if I don't get the draft pick? I just bet on myself, like. And what's the most guaranteed bet? To lose. Like, it's one thing to bet on yourself to win. I'm cool with that. Like, go ahead, try to win. You know what I'm saying? But to bet on yourself to lose? Oh, come on, bro. Shit, I've seen a lot of people not tackle. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd be like, why are you trying to make that tackle? And then there's that perception where it's, oh, he's a D-back. They don't like tackling. He's a safety. He don't like to tackle. Nah, fuck that. He getting paid not to tackle. Like,
Now that's a bigger one. So now when we're talking about like the Patriots and this now this one here, we all know some coaches have had some conversations, from the top down. Who's going to be the first person to say, hey, they paid me not to make that tackle? Like, or if that's ever going to happen. Now we know that for sure has happened.
yeah. I agree with you.
You had Dez talking about it. Dez Bryant. He did a little video like a day or two ago, and he was like, I always thought it was fishy when I was playing with Dallas, and the coaches would have me line up in the same position and run the same route like 10 or more times, however many he'd said. I forget what he had said. And then lo and behold, I never get a ball thrown to me or anything. And it's like, if I'm your number one, why am I not getting any targets in this game? And then he's like, lo and behold, at the end of the year, I'm cut. Then they're going to say that I wasn't productive. I wasn't working with coaches. I wasn't doing this. I wasn't doing that. He's like, see, you guys think we're crazy, but there's some other stuff going on. I wonder if the players half the time are even involved with something like that. Football, like I remember watching a documentary about college sports betting and people having like inside players that know about the bets and all that kind of stuff. But you're talking about 5 guys versus another 5 guys. For football, I find that harder to believe that you could manipulate the game by paying the players. A coach, that's a whole other ball game. He can play his 3rd and 4th stringers, and that's almost guaranteed you're going to lose. But I find it harder to believe that the players are on the take too.
But you know what though? You only got to pay one player when it comes to football. Only thing you got to pay is the quarterback.
Oh shit!
Like, how many times you seen a quarterback have the shittiest game of his life? And it's like, bro, I just seen you not throw an interception all year long. Or a running back go 15 games. The dude from Pittsburgh literally went all season without one fumble, and then fumbles twice in the same game. And it's like, bro, sit your ass down, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you fumbling? Like,
man.
Next week, I got you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it only takes one key component. Like, you don't have to pay the whole team. You can just pay one player. One player makes it in a sport like that. One player can make that difference. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I mean, if those owners truly did offer them money, they got to get rid of those teams. Not like get rid of the franchise, but there's no way you can, because if it's the same reason that Pete Rose can't get into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Like, how are you able to manipulate games like that? Like, I get throwing games, like the players all know we're gonna play. You can do that. They used to do that in the NBA just by playing all their young guys. From game one, we just gonna play our young guys all season long, win 10 games, and we're gonna be fine. The NFL, since they don't have a lottery system, yeah, I mean, you can manipulate the games because you got to think like these are also players that took some, not all, allegedly took money from boosters in college. They kept it hush hush. It only comes out when someone's like disgruntled ex or agent or something like that comes out and says something. So it's not like it'd be crazy if a guy that just barely hanging on to his roster spot with nothing guaranteed, and they say, I give you $50,000 to go out and drop this interception in San Francisco. This like, just make a play for me. You know, whether it's a defensive holding call, something that changes the tide of the game that's not noticeable, and we're just gonna keep going. You know, but paying your head coach to not win and then firing him for not winning. I think Hugh. I wish you would have kept this out. Like just chill for a little bit. Let Brian.
Yeah. It's like, shut the hell up. You know damn well nobody's paying you any mind in Cleveland.
Yeah,
But it makes sense though. Like, think about it. He got fired after winning like 7 games in a row.
Right.
That's the ultimate slap in the face. Like, okay, all right, you don't like your starting quarterback, but you won 7 games in a row. Why would I fire you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think you won too many games. I'm going to fire you. That sounds about right. You get what I'm saying? Like,
but that was also like he wanted Tyrod Taylor to start when he was there.
Right.
So it's like that. If you wanted to just tank games without anybody, if you're gonna give me $100K to tank this game, I'm just gonna start Baker Mayfield game 1. Like with this terrible offensive line with no weapons, I'm just gonna throw Baker in. But he put Tyrod in to try and actually see how many games they could win. Tyrod got hurt, and then Baker came in. So it's like it still doesn't. To me, I don't know. Hugh could be telling the truth, but it's also one of those things. It's like, is that an excuse on why you were losing this game? Because Flores could be completely honest with this whole thing, and then Hugh Jackson's down at Grambling State right now coaching. And he's like, "Oh no, the only reason I was such a losing head coach because what did you take the money, or did you just happen to lose?"
And that was the dumbest thing he could have ever done. Like he jumped out so fast and was like, "Yeah, I took the money." I was like, "What? Yeah. Nobody asked you, Hugh. What are you doing?"
He killed his credibility because look, by him admitting that he took the money. Not only did he's helping Brian, but at the same time, he's just vanished himself from the NFL because nobody's going to give him a job because they're going to be like, "Bruh, you know."
But
no.
he knows that. He knows that. Yeah, they both know that. They both know they're not getting.
Oh yeah,
they're not. Coach.
They are the Colin Kaepernicks of coaching.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I think Flores has a chance. To be honest with you, the way that he's carrying himself is so much different than the way that Colin handled himself. Because the way that he's presenting everything, it's like there's no counter argument to what he's saying. Like it's not like he's just jumping out and going crazy. He's kept it composed. He's said everything very well in a very like calculated way. So I'm like, I don't know. If I'm a conspiracy type of person, it wouldn't shock me if Belichick did that on purpose.
I was thinking that, man. I swear to goodness, I kept thinking. I was like,
you don't just
about this.
Text the wrong dude. That's like texting your ex-girlfriend from 20 years ago. Oh, man, love me. You know what I'm saying?
Why would he's really sloppy with his contact list? What if that's him? Like, what if he legit just had Brian F and Brian D, and he was like,
but one of the most
you can still see that at the top. Like,
right. Yeah. I'm telling you, one of the most calculated
we all got phones where it says who you texted. It could be they don't even have the same initials. Like,
and not to mention, and I know you want to, and again, I don't know this for sure, but you imagine when Brian Flores left, we don't know what it was like for him within the organization. So we don't know what kind of blood was left, what kind of bad blood or good blood, whatever it was that they had. But we do know that he served time under Bill Belichick. We do know that he gained so much respect. We have to imagine that Bill had some kind of pull for him to get a coaching position. I just find it very difficult to believe or to find that I'm like, dang, this was a dude that like you were under him and everything was good, and you just like legit threw him under the bus. Like, you just like, oh yeah, and I got proof from Bill Belichick's text messages like damn. Bill's like, well, damn, like what I do to you? Like, why wouldn't you call me, talk to me or something? So if I have a heart, and then it's so funny because when you're reading through the joint and then they're talking, and then he goes, and he's like Giants so forth, and then he goes, oh sorry, something wrong guy, and he goes BB. He puts BB down there, like Bill Belichick, like you know what I mean? Like I didn't know. He's like just signed off on this. Like he just signed off, and then and then Flores just like, all right, thanks, Bill. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know, man. I wouldn't put it past him to to have a little insight on this and be like, hey, look, I'm gonna sway this like this, and something's gonna pop off.
Because how does it hurt him?
Right.
Right.
If someone had a passing conversation with Bill Belichick and was like, "Oh man, we really like Brian Dable, blah blah blah. Thanks for the conversation you gave us on him. Thank you for being a good reference for him," or something. That still doesn't hurt Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick had the wrong text conversation with the wrong guy. Like, he could care less. It ain't his franchise getting thrown under the bus right now. He didn't do nothing wrong. He hires black folk. Like, he ain't got no issues.
Like what Gruden went down, you know what I'm saying? They ain't say who his email was to. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
They were just worried about Gruden. They was like, we gotta get him out of the league. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they wasn't worried about who he was conversating with. It was about what he was conversating about. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what Belichick. Nobody cares that he was talking to Belichick, like, at all. It ain't affecting him. It just sucks that Belichick was playing dumb. Like, he was like, oh.
I don't know who you're talking about. I have no idea.
He like, oh, they like hotline.
He's for real, man. That's why I tell you, man, I know so many people who ask him that same question, just like you asked, because I know I did the same thing. What if Belichick was in on this? And we, like you said, he hired black people. We know he loved black people. Jim Brown, you know, like this dude be taking people to Cleveland. Like, look, we're gonna go check out, you know, Jim Brown statue, the history, So yeah.
You know what I mean? And Belichick could have did that shit just to upset Brady on his day, you know?
There's so many ways we could go with this. There's so many ways.
I just say, like, if Belichick doing that, it's like you can't go this long with no inside. There's never like insider information that comes out on this team, and they had a dude that killed multiple people on their squad. Like, no info came out. So after all of these years, he mistakenly texted something that damning. And what team was it again?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Like,
that's
what
that's a very good point.
It's too much that just fell into place with that. It's like he could make a lasting impact in the league by providing that info to Brian Flores. Even if it wouldn't surprise me if Belichick was like, and I'm done this season, by the way. Yeah. But here you go.
That's a very good point too, man.
So my question too is why does Belichick know who those teams are hiring?
Right.
Exactly. That's what I was curious about.
Like, like when he was like, "Oh, you got the job," I'm like, "Nigga, what you work for them?"
For real. I thought that was the bill. Yeah,
like, what you on the board? Like, what you on the committee to hire for other teams? Like, tell me something I don't know.
Right.
So, I was saying, it might be a little conspiracy. It might be an inside job.
Man, I'm telling you, man. I agree, bro. I'm telling you. You're right. He's too clever for that.
These two court cases are just monumental towards the NFL, though. Like, if I hope and pray that, I love football, like, wholeheartedly, but I hope and pray Gruden's case doesn't get settled, and I hope and pray Flores' case doesn't get settled. I don't know how much proof, like whole, cold, black and white proof Flores is going to have, but if it's anything like what Gruden went through, there's emails. Yeah. There's correspondence, there's text messages, there's something that they haven't brought to light yet because they don't want to spoil their case, but they're bringing out just enough stuff to keep the public interest out there. This was very calculated. Yeah. I mean, like the statements that he puts out, they're like, whoa, like all like when he lit into Denver and he was talking about the executives that showed up drunk and were like partying the night before and all this, there's a lot more that he's got to say about that meeting than what he's put out so far. And those
when they were trying to,
I
heard, what was it when they brought him out to the boat when to meet whoever from whichever.
You talking about John?
Shit.
Yeah, I mean, we could name drop. It was John Elway. John Elway showed up to the meeting.
Oh yeah, that was that one. That was that one. But then who was it that they were trying to get to tank? And not even try to trade. Weren't they trying to get somebody on Miami?
Deshaun Watson. I bet that's what it was.
Watson. It was Deshaun Watson. That's right. That's right.
They don't want to say that name yet. Yeah.
They don't want to say it. But yeah, that was the whole thing there too, man. I'm telling you so much, man. He's like, he just walked through. He just left the boat. Because actually, man, it was just a lot, man. They were a lot. They didn't disclose his name, but they were like, apparently he said he didn't, because he was like, it's going against the NFL policy. You can't do that. And then, but then next thing you know, they make it look coincidental that they both happen to be on the boat, trying to, and he's like, he's just out, yeah. And you could tell with the way management was, had kind of like released him in a sense, like, hey, we wish him all the best, but we have another vision for this team, like essentially. So yeah, man, I think he has some things gathered up. He seems to be a very like intellectual brother. He's strong, and I think he has something. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, he got civil rights attorneys. He didn't go out and get like Cochran's son or anything like that. He went and got people that are actively working on civil rights cases like right now. Like this was to the T. Like he spent money to do this. And I know that there's a part of it where there's some money that they're looking for, but this is going to be huge. And I feel like it's going to get a whole lot of people in trouble, and hopefully it makes some significant changes to the league, but we'll see. I mean, his big thing was creating a committee to help with new policy and to help with GM hiring as well as ownership hiring, which is perfect timing for Denver to come under new ownership or whatever, because the spotlight's going to be on the NFL. They've always talked about this vetting process they go through with anybody that wants to buy a team and all this, but what is the transparency with it? What's this criteria that you have besides how much money the franchise is worth and whether you think that they're a viable candidate to own a franchise? Because there's been plenty of groups that were minority groups that tried to buy a franchise and it didn't happen. Buffalo was the last one. It was the same thing. There were plenty of minority groups that were trying to get on that team.
Well, I thought the Carolina Panthers was the last one, right?
I thought Diddy was trying to buy that. Diddy,
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, the Carolina was the one where they had the biggest group trying to buy it, and they got beat to.
They got They had a group get beat by one guy.
Yes, it's like how do you beat a group of 6 eligible people just for one, just because he's rich? Like, I would rather have 6 new owners come into the NFL than just
a community of people.
But that's my job. But the real sad part is, even though we want Light to be on this, do you really think tomorrow we're going to wake up and there be 10 more black NFL coaches or NFL by black people just because, let's say, Miami Dolphins dude has to sell because we push him out? They're not going to replace him with a black owner. I don't care. I don't care who it is. It could be Dr. Dre, Jay-Z, the Black Eyed Peas, all put together, and they still not going to like, look at the NBA. Like, let's keep it real. The NBA is
but that's a good point you brought up.
And you know what?
Go
ahead.
Nah, but Jay-Z and the Brooklyn Nets, that's a good example. Like,
But you know what though? Now look, if we go back to the NBA, right? Like, NBA, we finally have 15 head coaches out of what, 32 teams? Or is it's more than that in NBA, right?
30 teams. Yeah, they got like 15, 17 or something like that.
With black head coaches. That's never gonna happen in the NFL. Not right now.
Right.
Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, but
I was referring to even the ownership.
Huh?
That's
even the ownership. The ownership, like when Jay-Z was part owner of the Brooklyn Nets.
Whole different breed when it comes to that, because the NBA encourages ex-players to get involved and try to buy part. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's just a whole different.
Yeah.
The fact that NFL doesn't still have guaranteed full contracts is enough said. You see what I'm saying?
They're the last one. I don't know if they do it in NASCAR and all that kind of stuff, but all the other big sports do it.
Yeah.
They're holding on to dear life to keep from doing it for sure.
Right. And it's like, well, what are you benefiting? You know what I'm saying?
They're
like,
definitely a club.
Yeah, I know, right? You let that look.
Yeah, man. They're club, man. They're club, man. Look, like, listen, they're like, that's their own thing. They're not going. Even if you got in, man, you probably would want to get out because there ain't enough of you. You know what I mean? So
I just hope that it doesn't turn into another label. And when I say label, I don't want to see another term on somebody's helmet or somebody's shirt. I'm tired of seeing that shit. Like, I'm not saying I don't appreciate where it's a little saying on the back of the helmet, but I need you to go more than just a little logo of stop racism or, equality for everybody. I need more than that. Like, you putting a little saying on your fucking jersey ain't changing shit. It really ain't. Because it's just like looking at the logo on the side of the helmet. It don't change your day. You seen that NFL logo on the side of the helmet, don't change anything. It don't change the game. It don't make it better. Like, I just hope it don't become another patch on the jersey where it's like more head coaches. Like something stupid. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you, man.
I would rather see, I think the most significant change that they could make would be to enforce a group buy-in for any new franchise moving forward versus it being in a family that has the potential to hand it down for generations and generations. Like, who are you benefiting?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when you've got like families that have owned these teams and stuff for so many generations and teams, like the 49ers, like the York family's been involved with that business for a long time, and the Cincinnati Bengals, they've always been owned by the same family. Like, it's at what point do you say, okay, we're a big enough corporation where we need to act like a corporation? Nepotism's got to go out the window. And I think that would be a huge way to incorporate more minorities and stuff like that, or more women, more whatever, to be more involved and more diverse in that whole industry. It's huge.
Yeah.
There's a lot at stake.
I mean, I'm waiting for like the star players to start saying something now. Because you know that they're still going to be coming to the quarterback and talking about what coach you want, or your star defensive players talking up about the defensive coordinator or whatever, getting in positions and stuff. It's like you keep seeing, it's not like a knock on all white coaches, but it's like at some point you got to understand they got to be able to read the room. And if they can't identify or match up with these dudes, you're not going to keep them long term unless you're winning. But you got to get the buy-in to win. So a lot of these coaches can't relate to these players. That's why you see like an influx of 40-year-old coaches and stuff coming in, because you actually have a voice with the players. You're dealing with multi-millionaires and coming in with these old school mentalities and stuff just because you look like the GM looks or like the ownership looks and stuff. It's at some point the players got to start talking up about like players that have retired and stuff and start talking about them in the media, like Deuce Staley and stuff like that when he was up. Like they were interviewing him and stuff just as the token, just to satisfy the Rooney Rule. You ain't hiring the running back coach for this position. Like, start being loud about it. It's like, no, I'm not going to buy into it. If Aaron Rodgers said I'm not going to play for anybody but Hugh Jackson, he'd be in there. If he did it early in his career, not now. Not they just get out of here.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point, because part of Brian Flores' arguments was Jim Caldwell. He uses his career as like a benchmark for how there's a huge disparity between white coaches and black coaches having an honest opportunity to run a team and have one losing season in the midst of them building it up.
Yeah, what's the coach for your team, Arizona, right? What did he do in college? He had a losing season, got a head job. You know what I'm saying?
But the stats were crazy, man. He was having quarterbacks throwing 34 and 5,000 yards. Like, the stats were there. But
he also had Patrick Mahomes, and they still couldn't win. Like, they still and Cliff Kingsbury was a all-time backup in the league. Like I didn't get, like, it's not like I dislike. Like, I think Cliff Kingsbury is like a player's coach. I think he can get along. Like, I think the backup quarterback on most teams is friends with everybody. Because that's all they ain't playing, so you're most likely just hanging out with them in just good mood and stuff, and they get to still be a quarterback, so you like him, so he gets along with the guys. But I don't get why you would say this guy can lead us to something. Like, you've never proven to me that you could do this, but I think you could do it. Like, I didn't get it, but now they're starting to win. So
yeah, I know that's only a bad part of that argument, but. It's just, to me, it's just, man, like, we go through so much. Like, we have to start literally cleaning the bathroom, then being a scouting report guy, and then being a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator. Right. We might be able to get a head coach job. You see what I'm saying? Meanwhile, the guy was a head coach for a high school football team on Thursday night, and he's Sunday night coach. Wow. Am I right or am I wrong? Like, right. It'd be like, just because he was a friend of the family, he got the head coach job. Like, shit.
Oh, wait a minute. Who's Minnesota about to hire?
No, Harbaugh, man.
No,
I heard they're going in another direction.
Oh yeah.
Kevin O'Connell, who's
Oh.
another backup quarterback for the Patriots.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. I don't
That's
even know how long he was in the league, but he's getting considered for a head coach position.
See, that's ridiculous, man. Like, what about Leffridge, man?
Yeah, right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, what about him? Like,
I haven't even heard his name get brought up. And,
why not?
And I have like, I know they're probably not going to get him, but is there going to be a day that they offer Deion Sanders a head coaching job?
That's I'm thinking the same thing, man. Because you know what, he's done a phenomenal job at showing that he could do college. So why not?
Right.
You go to Harvard, who went to college, and pretty much to me has sucked. I'm sorry. Like,
Right. Yeah. I hear you, man.
got Deion who went to college, and you ain't offering him shit. Like, it is what it is. Y'all know what it is. So.
Unfortunately, he's even more vocal than any other black coach has ever been. It's like, can you imagine the things that Deion Sanders would say or possibly expose? I mean, he was even in the media for years and years and years, interviewing people and being an insider and all that kind of stuff before he went into coaching. I can't see them letting him into the league.
I mean, if he's on ESPN broadcast, which is owned by Disney, they're allowing him to say anything that his personality is what kept him in those roles. He went down to an HBCU and brought Brittany Renner, went viral.
That's right.
But his team won the championship. And then they also just signed the #1 recruit. I was literally just watching the ticker go across and it said #1 recruit, and see him going to Jackson State. I'm like, that is
and who did he steal him from though? It was a big school, right?
#1 and #2.
I think he committed this. I think he committed somewhere else.
I think it was like Florida, maybe something like that. I don't know. He was recruited by everybody.
Yeah.
And he's a stud. He's an athlete. They put him as corner, but I saw him playing as wide receiver. He's gonna play whatever he wants to. But like, it's a movement, because you even see like the basketball players, like the top recruits choosing to go. All right, I'm gonna go to Howard. Or like Mikey Williams talking about, I want to go to an HBCU. Like, you know how crazy their like homecoming get? Like, they're gonna be on ESPN, like Howard versus Grambling. And it's going to be the top 5 prospects playing in that game and stuff. Like, it's like this wave is coming whether you want it to or not. Like, I follow all these HBCU things on Instagram. Like, God, I didn't even know about HBCUs when we were in high school. It was either community college, tech school, or you go to like Maryland or something, or McDaniel. Like, they didn't even mention HBCUs at all.
Right.
Well, it's coming. This generation's got to grow up. Like, the kids that are coming up, like I watch the shows like Blackish and stuff like that, and then you got the girl with the spinoff of Grownish and everything. But you think of those, even our younger cousins, like little Alex and Gabby and stuff, like they're coming up, and not like your kids coming up in a school that's not like us at all, like a mixed bag of kids that you don't even know what race they are and stuff like that. Like, that mindset is what we need. It's just time. Like, at some point, all those roles got to get backfilled by somebody. Even sports media and stuff like that. Like, you're hearing a bunch of like 60-year-old dudes talking about today's times. That's the reason LeBron's never going to get mentioned, because these kids that are coming up now didn't even see Jordan play. If they were in the media talking, it'd be a totally different narrative. So it's like the old guard has to be gone. You know, that's why I follow more like YouTube and stuff than mainstream now.
No, you're right about that.
I mean, look at how we get our news even. I mean, now we're watching podcasts. We're listening to podcasts and stuff. Like, the big news networks are scrambling to try and keep our attention with just random stories that are just grotesque, just to keep their ratings and stuff up, or to sell papers. And most of them are going bankrupt. Mm-hmm. And most people are like, you know what? I can be a source. I can research. What's that kid's name? D'Angelo Wallace? Have you ever listened to any of his podcast on Facebook and YouTube? Like, he's this young kid who just does his own research and like exposes YouTubers or anybody that's very popular or trending or whatnot. And he either hails them as an awesome person and they're worth following or whatever based off of what his research says, or exposing them for being really terrible people. And yeah, it's his opinion, but he's got facts. Like, he ain't messing around. Like, he's a up and coming like investigative journalist, and he's a mean dude. He's good. He's really good, and he's got so many freaking followers. There's no back to that. He's working out of his bedroom, and he's got all this huge audience of people that are just soaking it up. And he ain't even giving them any BS. That's the new day and age. I can do that myself.
Right,
I
man.
don't need to wait for these people to screw this all up. I can do it myself. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Agreed, man.
Yeah, we got too much access to information to just hear BS and let it go. Now it's like if you're ignorant to something, it's by choice. That's why I try not to even like get into arguments with somebody that has a strong opinion, because I'm like, we both know, right? Like you gonna feel like that anyway, so we just go, let's save some time. We're good. Like, I don't need to tell you that. Like we talk, like when you get that brain chip in your head and you can think of any question you want and get that info, they still ain't gonna want to know. Like if you feel that way, you brought up that way or whatever, you ain't trying to learn any different. Like once you get past a certain age, that's just how you're gonna be. You just may get better at hiding it after that. I ain't got time. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got time for that.
There's always gonna be somebody who thinks the earth is flat.
That's true.
I'm keeping it real. Like, no matter how you show them, no matter how many pictures you take, no matter how many times that person been in a plane, they're still gonna think the earth is flat. Like, no matter how many facts, no matter how much money you give them,
Can't
no matter
convince them otherwise.
they're always gonna want to go against the grain. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's like some people take the woke mentality to the extreme. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, man, like it's a weird time to be alive too, because it's like everything else you have. As soon as you start arguing with somebody, they want to pull their phone out. Like, what you telling on me? Oh no, I'm goofy. Like, you know, like, can I say wrong and not be corrected? Like, you know what I meant. Like, it gets bad.
Oh my god. For real, man. That's why even again with Brian Flores right now, like this is the most opportune time to do it, because we're still in the midst of this whole racial, debacle that's going on too, right? So it's still fresh. So and it just happened to be Black History Month. So there's still a lot on his side. But like you said, if you come out with some hard facts, you might get somewhere. Otherwise,
I like that, man.
I didn't even think about the month. Yeah, I didn't even.
Put it out there.
It's tactics, man. It's tactics.
Brian Flores is cold. He is a cold dude. Every oh my gosh, man. Yeah.
And he's strong with it though. Like that's the thing. It's like you're not gonna tell him any different. Like he's showing that strength in the fact that it's like, I don't have to get loud with you, because my facts may hurt your feelings, but I'm telling you facts. So tell me when I'm lying, and that's when I'll stop talking. So it's like he doesn't have anything to hide or anything like that. That's why it's like as much as I wanted the Colin Kaepernick thing to actually work out in a grand scheme of things, I'm like, I can't even defend you in a conversation with anybody because you're not talking. And like, you can't choose when to use your platform on a grand scale. And then when actually we're defending you right now, what next? Yeah. And then he's quiet for 6 months. And it's like, bro, and then I hear about the next time we hear from you, it's like the Nike deal or something. I'm like, bro, or the settlement or something like that. Yeah. Or you get a tryout and all of a sudden it's all these different things that come up. And like, if you would have just explained yourself it took Stephen A. Smith to break it down on him doing the tryout, on why it was unfair and everything like that for the masses to actually hear. Like, why is everybody else the voice for it? And now Flores jumps out in front of it. That's why I don't think it would ever come out that Belichick planted that seed. But like there's no signs that he didn't respect him. Everybody that said like he always had respect for Flores has killed him in the regular season. That of all of his past coaches that he's had, he left and has been a menace to the Patriots for years. So it's like, if anything, why would he try and tear him down? I highly doubt that there wasn't anything before that text. You don't think Belichick reached out to Brian Flores once he heard he got fired? He didn't say anything to him. So you know the previous texts are right there. What was it, the same conversation you had with Dayball? There's no way. There's no way that you would make that mistake.
That's right. That's right. That's right, man. That's right.
It's crazy. But that's why, and I also think Flores is going to get a job back too, because it would be the ultimate, like, whatever organization would hire him is basically telling you how PR friendly we are and how buttoned up we are. Because we don't care about the backlash or anything like that. This dude's a stand-up dude. We had respect for the way he handled the Dolphins. We respect the way that he put everything out there, and we're supporting him. We want to bring him in. And we got nothing to hide. That's what it will be telling the fans. We got nothing to hide, because this dude's obviously going to expose the shit. It's like, but if you bring him in and he's able to go and be the coach or whatever, deal with the racist fans. They're going to say whatever they want to say.
I think
he would say so much.
He'll get a job offer, but I don't know if he'll take it. You see what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, when you read that text, you could hear where he wanted to go. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It wasn't where he was just like, oh, I just want to interview for everybody. Whoever takes me, I'll go. You see what I'm saying? It seems like he has his eyes set on something. I don't know exactly what team it is, but I don't think he's going to just go if the Texans want to send him hey, come down here. Or if the Vikings are like, hey, come down here. I don't think he would go. And you know damn well he ain't going to Detroit.
The Texans, that would be the type of move the Texans would have to do after all the stuff that's come out about them.
That's
like
why
to even, it would take that like Kanye doing gospel music, turnaround type of a thing for you. You would have to bring in somebody like that after all the stuff that keeps coming out. After you lose Deshaun, lose JJ Watt. Like everybody is turning their back and they keep saying the same stuff. It would take that type of a move. Otherwise, like the Texans look like a team that need to get relocated. Like they just need to start from scratch and blow that up, because it's not going to look good no matter who you bring in there and put into that spot now. And as like if I'm a college quarterback, what if Justin Fields is coming out this year? Would he really want to go to the Texans? He can't do anything about it. He's going to be locked into a crappy deal for a couple of years, but he's got to go to this organization. And now they look the way that I said about the Patriots deciding Cam Newton. Like, it looks good. It looks like from now on, you can't really say we don't hire black quarterbacks, but you know this isn't the end all be all. This is just kind of a stopgap that you can always look back to. You know, I think Flores should get another position. I'm just not that big on the NFL anymore. I'm very casual on the NFL in recent years, and everything that comes out is just like stuff that you already knew. I've been on the football teams. I've been in the locker rooms. I know what actually gets said and stuff like that. Like, there's no hiding this stuff anymore. There's too much info.
But that's why it's interesting why, I mean, you brought up the Texans. It's very interesting why they weren't investigated a little bit more thoroughly, like Carolina was, or like the Lakers were, or like, you know what I mean? Like, why is it that they got away with just comments coming out and players getting upset and all up in arms and not wanting to be on the team and protesting, that kind of stuff, and nothing was made more of it? Like, the owner passed away and they were like, oh, we're good. I mean, they still own the team, but that's good enough. That's fine. No one cares. And it really did just go with the wind. It was gone. It was no longer a story anymore. Until like now that they have Paulie come in and he's decent, and then they still fire him. It was almost the same as Flores, but Paulie didn't say nothing. He had a really good contract, but they still cut him after having a decent year, having no talent on his team.
Yeah. No,
I don't know.
Now the Texans is still owned by his family. Yeah, so to me that's crazy, because then they pushed the guy out from the Panthers.
That's what I'm saying.
They resold the Panthers, but they didn't resold the Texans. Like, to me, the Texans should have got resold based off of all the accusations and the evidence they had. But like you said, he passed away, so it was just like.
What about Washington? What about Washington? They had stories coming out about this dude hiring charter planes, taking cheerleaders, and having them do photo shoots for calendars. People all kinds of stuff. These cheerleaders were in the worst position they could have been in.
So the Commanders is a different story, because they the Commanders. So they can get away with some shit. You know?
Oh boy.
kind of name is the Commanders, man. And then
I
did
thought
you
it was-
hear their chant? It sounds like you heard it? It sounds like the State Farm chant.
Oh,
Like we are the Commanders. Bum, 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 bum.
I could have sworn I was just reading something else about
I'm
Washington.
laughing, you know?
That's so crazy.
oh my gosh.
They should have been just stuck with the football team.
They should have, man. But you know what though? Look, this is what I realized. In 3 years, they're gonna switch the name again. This is literally the most money that Washington's ever gonna make. Think about it. Which ends to Washington, right? They made all that money switching and people buying stuff, right? So now they'll make all this money them going to the Commandos. The Commanders or Commandos. then they just gonna switch it up one more time. Like, it's genius if you think about it. Think about all the merch they sold. They killing it, man. New uniform.
But you gotta think also though, it's like for every time you see that logo, they have to change that. Like even down to the individual business card of the concession stands. You know, like it's a lot of money that goes behind that. Every commercial you've ever done don't mean anything. We can't post it because they're all wearing Redskins stuff and everything.
So true.
3 years worth of merchandise. And let it all run out. It's a
That
smart
was my
move.
first thought. Yeah, like when they allowed the players to change their numbers and stuff, and they said that the player had to purchase like old jerseys, I was like, oh my God. All that stuff that's just sitting in a warehouse somewhere, they gotta buy that before they change their number. See, I can't even imagine what Washington went through to change it to the Commanders. Yeah.
That was the
It's such an Arena League football team name.
It is.
It's so
Garbage.
basic.
Like you said, they were probably watching the CFL. And like, no. Saluted in the camera.
Ooh,
God.
yeah, that's funny.
Wow.
Yeah, fellas. So,
Well, let's see. So what was 10:15 now? What are we thinking this week? Are we doing Sunday night? Or are we sticking to once a week? Or what do you guys want to do?
That's up to y'all. We could link Sunday, talk about what we're gonna do if everybody's available. If not, Sunday get there, at least text, make a reservation for the rest of the week, you know?
yeah, maybe. And then if we can't do Sunday, then maybe we just stick with our Thursday at 9, and if that still works. So,
You just do like the sending out topics or whatever, just anybody thinks or whatever, and we can just come up with, try and tie it into the episode. If it's a couple ideas, we'll try and separate it out or whatever. But that's fine with me. I know it's tough trying to get everybody on the same page, and you just never know what's gonna come up. So yeah, if we can at least get the one in, if anybody's got issues or anything with the schedule or whatever, let's just try and at least get that one episode in, even if we got to switch days that week. But yeah, I'll send out a new invite for Thursday at 9.
That's cool. That's cool.
yeah.
That's good.
All right.
All right, fellas.
All right, fellas.
With you guys.
Chopping it up. Donnie, why don't you send us out, man?
This has been a Stxhes Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us. Chit chat. Have a good time. Please come back next week. Be more jokes, be more stories. It's Philip, Brandon, Gene, and myself, Donnie. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
All right, fellas.
All right, fellas. Love y'all, man.
Love you too.
Love you too.